What's going on, everyone? So the Milwaukee Bucks have been an absolute train wreck and a disaster, and because of it, there's a lot of thought and speculation that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to tear it down at some point, that Giannis is going to end up getting traded, that Damian Lillard is likely to be traded, that they're just basically going to sell off all the parts. Now, I don't believe that they'll do it necessarily this season. Could be wrong. Giannis could get itchy and be like, hey, I want out. I do think it's in Milwaukee's best interest to do it this season, right? Because like a team like the Warriors, like look at how they're playing right now. I think by the trade deadline, they would be like, hey, here, take everything. Because we might actually be able to win a championship this season with Giannis, right? I just think that there'd be more incentive. And I think a lot of teams would also look at it as like, hey, we kind of get ahead of the curve, right? Let's get Giannis. Right, we have this kind of season to figure it out. Maybe we win, even if we don't. Right, we got a head start with like chemistry and kind of seeing and evaluating what do we need. So you kind of make those adjustments in the off season. Now, I've had quite a few people actually, several in the live streams that we do, several in the comment section, ask me, Tyler, what do you think about Damian Lillard? Now, it's just a fun conversation video. I know people think like, oh, Tyler's not going to trade me. Like, it'll be okay, right? Just a fun, exploratory, I'm just giving my thoughts because I've been asked a handful of times and there's nothing else going on. So let's have a fun conversation. Let's get into it. So Damian Lillard, he's 34 years old. He is clearly, or at least appears to be, not the guy that he was in Portland. You expect that as guys age, right? Like, because Damian Lillard, arguably the second best shooter in the entire NBA behind Steph. Like, the guy was absolute money. Guy was basically a guaranteed 30-piece every night, right? And he's gone to Milwaukee, and he just hasn't worked. He just hasn't fit by any stretch of the imagination. He doesn't work alongside Giannis. He doesn't want to be in Milwaukee. I mean, he wanted to go to Miami, which, by the way, I still think Miami is the best place for him. I do actually think he would get back to being Damian Lillard in Miami. I also think he would potentially with the Lakers. We're going to get to that in a minute. But I do still think Miami, if I'm Miami, I'm still trying to make a play on Damian Lillard because they really need that guy. And Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, they're two stars that they're okay with doing the dirty work. Right? And they need that like bucket getter a lot like the Lakers do. But this is a Laker channel, not a Miami channel. Now, Damian Lillard. Let's go over a few key points first before I give my opinions on him and his fit, contract-wise, right? Because that's the biggest thing is like, what is it going to take for us to go and acquire Damian Lillard? All right? Well, let me tell you. So you're going to have to pay out like $55 million, roughly, is what you're going to end up having to send out to go and acquire Dame. On top of that, you have some issues, right? Because second April team, so you got to kind of circumvent certain things. Now, obviously, you know, they could just do a straight up trade, but it could get complicated, is worth noting, right? There are some issues, but he's making $48.7 million, right? Again, the problem is you need to send out, like I said, 50 plus million, right? Because you got to keep in mind, not only do you need to go get Damian Lillard, but you're going to have to send out like 4-5 guys to go get him, which Milwaukee can't take on more money. You can't take on more money. So you're going to need a third team involved more likely than not. And you're also going to need to fill out the rest of your roster. So you're going to need to send out like $55 million to go get Damian Lillard. Is that worth it? I would rather have Zach LaVine. I'm just being honest. I would. I'd rather have Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine does the exact same thing, and surprisingly, he's cheaper, right? And Dame is going to be at 54, and then I think it's like 56, and then 58 million, something like that. Like it's going to get a little crazy here. Now, the other keynote is he does line up with like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, being 34 years old. There have been a lot of talk in the previous years about the Lakers. Even Damian Lillard is kind of, poked fun at being a Laker at some point. But let's look at his production this season, right? Because here's something you got to keep in mind too. Can he return to the production of Portland? If he can, then yes, he makes a ton of sense for the Lakers, right? That just bucket getter, the guy that go get a bucket. He's also an incredible defensive liability, and that's something you have to keep in mind. I think there is a genuine argument, right? Like, if you were to get Dame, to just start Cam Reddish and Jared Vanderbilt. Because between LeBron, Dame, and Anthony Davis, you have more than enough offense and more than enough scoring that, like, you just need the hustle, defense, and athleticism out on the perimeter to try to make up for as much of a liability as Damian Lillard is. So this is something to keep in mind. But again, we'll touch on that here in a moment. So look at this season, right? Through 10 games, he is averaging 35.8 minutes. He is taking 17.8 attempts. We'll break down both, right? So the previous season, he was averaging 17.5, right? He's shooting 44.4% from the field this season. Last season, he's shooting 42.4%. From three-point range, he's shooting 34.8%, so 35% from three-point range on 9.2 attempts. Last season, he was shooting 35%, 35.4 to be exact, on 8.5 attempts. 2-point range, he's shooting 54.7% on 8.6 attempts, which is actually up from last season where he shot 9 attempts at 49%. He has an EFG this season of 53.4 compared to 51% last season. He's shooting 91% from the foul line on 7.7 attempts, where last season he shot on 7 attempts 92%. He's averaging 4.6 rebounds compared to 4.4 rebounds last season. He's averaging 6.6 assists compared to 7 assists. He's averaging 1 steal, just like last season, 1 steal, 0.2 blocks. He's averaging 2.7 turnovers compared to 2.6. He's averaging 1.9 fouls compared to 1.8. He's averaging 26 points compared to 24 points. So not super efficient. I mean, his point total is up, but he's not a very efficient guy. So you have a hefty contract, an aging star, a defensive liability, and on top of that, he's not very efficient at all. No, I do not want Damian Lillard. If I'm being honest, straight to the point, I do not want Damian Lillard. However, let's make an argument for Damian Lillard. Let's talk about why. Short answer, no. Stay as far away from Damian Lillard as possible. I'd rather go get Zach LaVine at this point. However, because at least Zach LaVine gives you athleticism, better size, not the defensive liability, a lot of things, right? Gives you similar playmaking, right? A lot of stuff, right? So Damian Lillard, one, look at his coach, Doc Rivers, Darvin Ham. I have been very outspoken for years about, or as long as I've had platforms, of Doc Rivers and how I think he is one of the worst coaches ever. He's a guy that has done, less with more rather than more with less, right? Usually you're like, man, that coach does more with less than anybody. No, he's the total opposite. And yet he keeps getting jobs. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then you got Darvin Ham, and us as Laker fans, we all know how we feel about Darvin Ham. How much of it is is where he doesn't want to be? He's made that abundantly clear. He has been very outspoken about the fact that, he just doesn't want to be in Milwaukee. He doesn't like it there. He has no friends. He's just basically cooped up in his house. How much of it is him and Giannis don't have any, desire to get to know each other, right? They didn't even work out at all, and then they, had a bunch of excuses, and it's really? You guys couldn't take a week to meet up? You guys couldn't go just get a slice of pizza? Just get to know each other a little bit? Something? Anything? Share an ice cream cone? Pause. But no, in all seriousness, it's silly, right? Dame doesn't want to be in Milwaukee. Never did. He wanted to be in Miami, right? So, one, would he be open to coming to LA, right? I think he'd love LA. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it'd be like a Milwaukee where he's miserable, but I also don't think he would have the issues that he has in Milwaukee. Also, you got to look at Giannis and Dame compared to LeBron and Anthony Davis. There is a genuine question of, is Giannis capable of playing alongside another star? It is. I mean, it's a genuine thought, right? He won a championship, not with another star. He won another championship with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, who are, your third best player, not your first or second best player, right? And also the team was great, and Giannis was otherworldly, right? He's dropping 50 in closeout finals games, right? So you have to ask, can Giannis, one, even play with another star? We know Anthony Davis and LeBron James can. We know LeBron James works with a guy like Damian Lillard. Also, I think J.J. Redick and the Lakers in particular he would be able to be Dame. He can't really be Portland Dame in Milwaukee. It's a lot of you go, I go, you go, I go. He's kind of, I don't want to step on Giannis' toes. His team it's like awkward at times. It's like very uncomfortable, right? They don't really look like teammates. It's just a great example of you can't just throw names on the back of jerseys on a team and expect them to have success. I mean, we're Laker fans. We have that like every couple of years, right? Like, how many teams have we had with like crazy, rosters? I mean, look at, what was it, 2012, and look at, with Westbrook, and it doesn't always work that way. And I think the Bucks are a prime example of that. Where I think with the Lakers, Damian Lillard, what he does, just being a bucket getter, just a guy that go get you 30 on it. Because, this was a guy that was, he was basically guaranteed to give you 30. He steps on the basketball court, you're getting 30 from him, right? Like, Lakers need that badly. They need somebody that can score, hit big shots down the stretch, isn't afraid of the moment, big-time playoff player, right? Like, all of it. Right? Like, Dame, the idea, like, Portland Dame is everything that the Lakers could need. If you told me, hey, I have a time machine, we got Damian Lillard, and he returned to Portland Dame, or even a version of Portland Dame, say, like, 80% Portland Dame, I'd be like, all right, we're going to win a championship, right? Like, go get Dame. Right? But the question is he that? How much of it is decline, and how much of it is like, it's just a bad fit, a bad situation, which you see all the time with players, right? Guys go one place and they do not look like they do in another place. Where I think with the Lakers, I think with the style of offense that we're running, for one, I think he'd fit in beautifully. And two, I think that the Lakers, LeBron, AD, as well as JJ Redick, I think that they would empower him. Hey, you're Dame time. Go be Dame time. Don't worry about all this other, like, go be Dame time. LeBron and AD will work around you. You go be you. Go get buckets, right? Like, that's why we brought you here, to go be a bucket. We need 30 from you every night. Go get 30. And I think that's how it would be. I really do think that the Lakers would let Dame be Dame, because that's actually what the Lakers need. They need somebody that can just go get you buckets nightly. LeBron's going to get his 20 either way, right? Like, you're not worried. LeBron has like 3 at halftime and the game's over. And you're like, LeBron had 30? Like, he scored 27 in the second half? Like, when did that happen, right? Like, LeBron's going to go, like, you don't have to worry about LeBron going and getting his 30 or his 20, right? Let Dame be Dame. Let AD be AD. LeBron will pick and he'll get his throughout the court. He'll go get his, 5 a quarter or whatever, and then there you go. There's his 20, right? Like, LeBron is the last person you need to worry about, right? As far as, like, what you need with Dame. Obviously, you get fit and stuff like that. I've talked about, like, with, like, a Trade Giannis. Like, does Trey really work under the system? Like, can him and LeBron coexist? Where Dame, right? Like, Dame is good off ball. You can play on ball, right? Like, catch, shoot, all of that. Like, I just think Dame, the idea of Portland Dame. If we get, like, the problem is do we get Portland Dame or do we get this version? Because this version of Damian Lillard, I think, makes us better. I don't think we're a runaway contender. I don't. Personally, stay away from Damian Lillard. Those are my thoughts. So, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.